The students of East Calcutta Girls College, Department of English, have paid homage to the inimitable Charles Dickens on his death anniversary. As a tribute to the prolific writer, they have presented some of the characters from his novels and given a brief summary of these novels. Charles Dickens is a writer of all times, and today's predicament can be found reflected in many ways in his novels.
Charles Dickens is remarkable among canonical English language authors in remaining a major figure in academic world as well as in popular culture. Dickens has engaged the popular imagination with his crowded gallery of memorable characters and his detailed rendering of the life of his times. His stories and characters are familiar even to those who have never read his novels. Oliver Twist and David Copperfield are almost as well known as Hamlet and King Lear. Dickens is often seen as the quintessential Victorian, so much so that even a student of history will be enlightened on reading Dickens. In the contemporary literary arena obsessed with theories and critical interpretations, Dickens exists like a gust of cool wind and shows how simple language, easy narrative, and gripping stories can mesmerize the reader and offer a human touch. Not only his novels, but his own life etches out an inspiring story of overcoming early sufferings and carries the conviction that we can overcome. Interestingly, Charles Dickens wrote a famous novel in 1854 called Hard Times, and it was subtitled For These Times. The phrase hard times can equally be applicable to our times as well, although in a widely different context. However, Dickens provides us with great expectations as well, and we read and remember Dickens in the best of times and in the worst of times, amidst the spring of hope and amidst the winter of despair.
I am Oliver Twist, born in workhouse. My mother was brought from the street half dead, and she died after giving me birth. You know, in the workhouse, they did not give me to eat. And one day when I asked for more, they sent me to work as an apprentice to an undertaker. It was horrible. It was very horrible. I was forced to sleep among coffins. So one day, I ran away to London. But as luck could have it, there I'd meet Artful Dodger, who took me to Faggin's Den, where we were trained to steal. That wicked burglar, Bill Skye, also there, but it was only Nancy who was kind to me. Then I was rescued by Mr. Brownlow. My half-brother, monks, kidnapped me as they want my inheritance. But I was rescued by my aunt, Rosemary. Today in this situation where COVID-19 is making chaos, there are many Oliver Twists in the street, asking for shelter, some food. It's really sad state of affairs, and we really need to take care of it.
Hello, my name is Fagin. Nice to meet you all. Though I am cranky all the time, I am the old Jew from Charles Dickens' novel Oliver Twist. I am what the Victorians used to call me, a kids man. Do you know what is a kids man? Kids man are people like me who teach small young boys how to pick pockets, how to steal, how to borrow and never give back. Though I was hanged at the end of my story, I had taught the young Oliver and the artful Dodger how to steal for a living. To be honest, many Oliver Twists are going hungry during this economic condition of our country. But don't worry, people like me, many and many Fagins will rise to give them shelter, to give them food, and teach them to steal and do crimes. Ha!
I'm Scrooge. from Dickens' ghostly little book, A Christmas Carol. I am a grasping, miserly old man who hates all the good things of life, especially Christmas. Then the ghost of my old partner, Jacob Marley, visited me and warned me that I will be haunted by the three spirits of the past, the present, and the ghost of Christmas yet to come. I am escorted by them to my youth and to the hearts of my loyal clerk, Bob Cratchit. I met with sadly crippled Tiny Jim and finally realized how terrible it will be. The change of shapes to come. I decided to change my wasp. I raise Bob's salary, visit to my honest nephew, and donate to charity. I turned into a better person. Today, there are so many lives in districts who are in need of food, shelter, and security. For the affected people of COVID-19, let us help together. Donate and feel the warmth and become the good person.
David Copperfield here. Nice to meet you all. I am a character from the novel popularly known by my name. Like my creator, Charles Dickens, I too had a very unsettling childhood. My mother died at a very young age, and my father, Mr. Murdstone, sent me to work at a London factory. He was my stepfather. But then I escaped to London and stayed with my aunt, Betsy Trotter. There I had a few years of schooling and had a brief legal career. I fell in love and finally married the love of my life, Dora Spenlow. But I was heartbroken and shattered by her death. Finally, I found happiness with Agnes Wickfield, and then I was established as a popular novelist. Since I remind my creator of his own days, I am his favorite child. I know the pain that you are suffering from now in this years of pandemic. I know what is it like to lose a loved one. Since I lost my mother and Dora, my beloved, at a very young age.
Hello, I am Sisiju from Dickens' novel Hard Times. I am a circus child deserted by my father. I was adopted by a hardware merchant named Thomas Gradgrind. The only thing important to him was pets, and as a result, his children Tom and Louisa remained ignorant of love and affection. The result was devastating. Louisa is forced into a miserable marriage to Bounderby, and Tom becomes a thief. I and the circus folk somehow manage to save him, but poor Stephen Blackpool, a honest worker in Bounderby's mill, is blamed for Tom's crime. He is burdened by a drunken wife, made an outcast by his fellow men, yet loved by Rachel, a factory worker. But only after his death, his innocence is proved. Now, in this period of lockdown, where countless workers are losing their jobs, it reminds me of poor Stephen. We are all aware of the hard times we have to face in our life, but always remember there is a silver lining to it.
Hi, I am Amy. But everyone calls me Little Doll. I was born in a prison. My father could not pay his debt. We were lucky to have Arthur Clement as our friend, and I was employed by his mother to work as a seamstress. Later life became very wonderful when my father left prison and inherited a fortune. We all went to Italy, but my father died. In the meantime, our friend Arthur becomes the victim of a fraud and is put into prison, where I find him. I love him and he recognizes my feelings. Finally, I lost my fortune, but I am united with Arthur, and we go down to the streets inseparable, blessed. In this terrible time of the pandemic, I can understand your situation, being confined to your homes. But remember, I was born into prison. In these trying times, we all have to do is to remain optimistic, generous, and responsible.
Hello, I am Lucy from Dickens' novel A Tale of Two Cities. I've experienced the terror of the French Revolution. My father, Dr. Menet, was imprisoned for 18 years in the Bastille. He was innocent and later managed to come to England. I'm in love with Charles Darnay, but he belongs to the cursed family of Evremont. After our marriage, Charles has to return to France to help a family servant who is imprisoned by the revolutionaries. Poor Charles. Since he belongs to the aristocratic family, he is arrested, later released. But fate plays a strange trick, and he is imprisoned again and condemned to death. I almost died in sorrow, but at the last moment, he is saved by the heroic self-sacrifice of Sidney Carton, who has a strong physical resemblance to Darnay. I know Sidney loved me hopelessly. It is sad, it is indeed sad, that he is hanged instead of my husband. This is indeed a world of violence. Today, when we find examples of mob violence, it strikes terror in our hearts. In this time of COVID-19, chaos, confusion, and violence is due to the insecurity. It is indeed a sad time that we are living in.
Hello, I am Philip Willett, the hero and narrator of Charles Dickens' novel Great Expectations, and you can call me Bill. This is my story. My life began in the early 1800s. You know, I am an orphan. I grew up with a sister, Georgiana, and her husband, Mr. Joe. We lived in the marsh area of Kent, which was 20 miles away from the sea. I had the most horrible experience. When I was 7, I came across Abel Magwitch. He was a fearful man. He had a great iron on his leg and he was soaked in water and smothered in mud. He limped and shivered. He glared at me and growled. He seized me by the chin and threatened me that if I did not help him, he would eat out my liver and heart. I was so terrified of him. So I had to help that starving convict. However, he was recaptured soon. And then my life took an interesting turn. I was called at Miss Havisham's Saty's house. She was a wealthy but eccentric woman. And it was actually Stella in whom I was interested. So I became a gentleman. I moved with my roommate, Herbert Pocket, and began living a vain but extravagant life. My life took an interesting turn again. Magwitch reappears and reveals that he sent the money to Mr. Jaggers and he passed it to me and sought to make me a gentleman. He was my benefactor. He is the reason behind this luxurious life. Everything like this, everything is because of him. He is not a criminal. He is my friend. I tried to save him, but he died. I also realized that Estella is not Miss Havisham's daughter. In fact, she is Magwitch and Molly's daughter. I return and find Estella, who is now a widow. I'm a changed person now. And I'm very happy with my beloved. I know how it feels when you realize the importance of humility, truth, and morality. This lockdown is the perfect time for introspection. Find out what you truly desire.
I belong to the world of great expectations. People call me eccentric and find me strange. I'm very wealthy and live in Saty's house. But this is now a rotten mansion. My time stopped when my fiancé deserted me on the day of our wedding. I've been wearing this old wedding dress every day of my life. I decided to remain petrified in time so that I'm constantly reminded of the time when I was betrayed. That is 20 minutes to 9 and all my clocks have stopped. But I have decided to take revenge on all men and my adopted daughter Estella. That poor pig predictably fell in love with her, but it was not to be. His aim was to become a gentleman, but he became very proud and haughty. But circumstances brought him back to Estella. Then he realized the importance of compassion and humility. I was happy with him and understood that one's acceptance of fault and sympathy were more powerful. Times have changed, yet in these troubled times of COVID-19, now what is vital is sympathy and empathy for the affected and homeless.
Great to have your acquaintance. I am John Jasper. Edwin Drood is my nephew. We are the characters of Charles Dickens' last unfinished novel, The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Don't tell anyone, but I live a double life. As a churchyard choir master and as an opium addict. Whenever my cravings for opium proves to be too strong, I secretly travel to London to meet an opium den there. I love Rosabelle, but she got betrothed to my nephew at the very childhood. But that doesn't bother me because they both are no longer in love, neither are they engaged. On one Christmas Eve, there was thunderstorm prevailing outside. Suddenly, my nephew got vanished. Then came the detective Dick Datchery. Honestly speaking, I don't even believe him to be a detective. People often say and believe that I have killed my nephew Edwin. Do you? Just like this, my tale remains incomplete and unfinished because my creator died before the completion of this novel. In this time of COVID-19, when there are so many unfinished tales and so many sudden disappearances, and when time is so bad, we all need to stay safe and stay healthy.
So, we can conclude by saying that Dickens is as relevant now as he was then. And it reminds one of the most famous lines from his novel, A Tale of Two Cities, which seem to reveal the tumult and the chaos of our present-day life. To quote the lines, "It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair." Unquote. The present-day headlines expose the tale of the cities where development, technological upgradation, academic excellence go hand in hand with illiteracy, deplorable poverty, depravity, and now the pandemic. Yet, we must be optimistic. Maybe a time will come when these hard times will finally tide over and our great expectations of a better world will be realized. And on this positive note, we end our presentation. Thank you.